Nobody knew the stay-at-home mom was a wilderness expert until she saved her family from a bear attack. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nest of Stories. Before we begin, make sure to sit back, relax, and let yourself sink into today's incredible story. One that proves courage can come from the most unexpected places. And as you listen, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment at the end, and subscribe if you love stories that move your heart and keep you on edge. Now, let's begin. The sun filtered through tall pines, painting the forest floor in soft gold. Birds trilled high above, and a cool breeze carried the scent of pine and earth. It was the kind of peaceful day that made you forget the world's noise. For the Hartley family, this weekend was meant to be exactly that, peace. A simple escape from schedules, screens, and city stress. A rented cabin deep in Montana's wilderness. 2 nights, one goal: to disconnect and reconnect. Emily Hartley stood beside their SUV, hands on her hips, smiling as her husband and kids unloaded their bags. She loved the mountains, the quiet, the clarity, the way time slowed down. "Careful with that cooler, Luke," she called out to her 13-year-old son as he dragged it toward the porch. "I got it, Mom," he grunted. "Sure you do," she teased. "Just don't crush your foot trying to prove it." Her husband, Daniel, came to help. "Should have packed less," he muttered, lifting one end. Emily laughed. "I told you, you're the one who can't survive without 6 bags of snacks." Their youngest, 7-year-old Ella, skipped around the clearing, her stuffed fox clutched tightly in her arms. "I'm naming this place Magic Forest," she declared. By all appearances, they were just a regular family. A hardworking dad, a warm mom, and 2 curious kids. But what no one knew, not even Daniel, was that Emily once had another life. Before marriage, before motherhood, Emily had been a wilderness guide. She'd led groups through mountains, taught survival skills, studied animal behavior, tracked wildlife. She'd been fearless, thriving under pressure, utterly alive. Then life shifted. Marriage, children, responsibilities. She put that old version of herself away, like an old book on a shelf. Until that weekend. Day 1 passed in laughter and light. They hiked, roasted marshmallows, played cards by firelight. The forest felt safe, almost enchanted. As dusk deepened, Daniel poured her cocoa. "You look peaceful," he said. "I am," she murmured. "It feels like coming home." He smiled. "You know, I can't remember the last time I saw you this calm. Maybe I should get lost in the woods more often." Neither of them noticed the faint rustle in the darkness behind the trees. Before we go further, if you're enjoying this story so far, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps the channel reach more story lovers like you. And drop a comment letting me know. Would you ever go camping deep in the woods like this? The next morning dawned bright and cold. Emily woke before everyone else, as always. She packed sandwiches, checked the weather, and smiled to herself. "Clear skies," she whispered. "Perfect day for adventure." By mid-morning, they were hiking along a marked trail that wound through towering pines and mossy stones. The air smelled of dew and earth. Luke ran ahead with his camera, snapping photos. Ella picked flowers. Daniel joked about moving there permanently. But Emily's eyes were sharp, scanning the ground, reading signs in silence. The way the birds shifted, how the forest seemed to breathe. Old instincts stirred in her chest. At noon, they reached a lookout, a breathtaking view of a silver river cutting through endless green. They sat eating sandwiches, laughing, basking in the moment. Then, as they started back, everything changed. The forest went still. The air grew heavy. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Emily froze mid-step, her instincts screaming. "Dan," she said softly, "do you hear that?" He frowned. "Hear what?" "Exactly." She caught a faint musky odor, earthy, sour, unmistakable. Her heart tightened. She'd smelled that before. "Everyone stop," she whispered. Her voice was calm, controlled. Don't move. Luke blinked. Mom, what's... Shoo! A branch cracked nearby. Then another. Heavy footsteps. Daniel turned, eyes wide. Probably a deer, he said, though his voice wavered. Emily crouched slightly, scanning the dirt. Fresh tracks. Big, round, clawed. Her breath caught. Get behind me, she said. Then, from between the trees, a massive brown bear stepped into view. It rose up, towering over them. Easily 8 feet tall, eyes dark and unblinking. The sound it made was deep, primal, vibrating through the ground. Ella whimpered and grabbed her father's leg. Daniel froze. Emily's voice cut through the panic. Steady. Sharp. Don't run. Stay calm. The bear huffed and dropped to all fours, advancing. Emily's mind snapped into old rhythms. Calculate, react, survive. Wind direction. Toward them. Escape route. Left. Weapons. None, but branches nearby. Dan, she whispered, not breaking eye contact with the bear. Take the kids. Move back. Slowly. What about you? Do it. The bear grunted, inching closer. Emily bent slowly, grabbed a thick branch and raised it above her head. Hey! She shouted, voice deep and commanding. Go on. Get out of here. The bear hesitated, uncertain, snorting. Then suddenly it charged. Run! Daniel yelled, scooping Ella up. Luke stumbled, terrified. Emily swung hard, striking the bear's muzzle. It roared, staggering back, swiping its paw with terrifying speed. The air cracked around her as claws sliced inches from her arm. She screamed, shouting louder, waving the branch, stomping, roaring right back. The bear hesitated, confused, snarling. Then, after what felt like eternity, it turned, crashing back into the brush. Emily's arms trembled. Her chest burned. But she didn't let go of that branch until she was sure it was gone. When she turned back, her family was staring at her in stunned silence. Luke's voice shook. Mom, you fought a bear. Emily took a breath. It wasn't a fight. I just scared it off. Daniel's face was pale. How did you even know what to do? She swallowed. I used to teach this stuff. A long time ago. They were safe for now, but not out of danger. We can't go back that way, she said quickly. The bear might circle around. She studied the terrain, eyes darting. We'll follow the river downstream. It'll lead us closer to the road. As they moved, the forest seemed endless. Branches clawing at their clothes, shadows shifting between the trees. The sound of the river was their only compass. When Ella tripped on a root and scraped her knee, Emily knelt immediately. She tore a strip from her sleeve and tied it around the wound. You're okay, she said gently. See, you're tougher than you think. Luke whispered to Daniel. I didn't know Mom knew all this. Daniel's voice was quiet. Neither did I. Hours passed. The sky dimmed to gray. Fog began to drift through the trees. Emily's pace slowed. She was tracking now, reading subtle patterns in the leaves. Her face was calm, focused, alive. By dusk, they found a shallow rock hollow for shelter. We'll stay here tonight, she said. Daniel's eyes widened. You can't be serious. We can't just sleep out here. Emily looked him squarely in the eye. We'll freeze if we keep wandering. We'll be safer with fire and cover. She gathered bark, twigs, and pine needles. Her hands moved automatically, striking flint against steel from her pack. Sparks caught. A small flame flickered, then grew. Ella gasped. Mom, you made fire. Emily smiled faintly. Told you old habits die hard. As they warmed themselves, Daniel whispered, If you hadn't been here. She cut him off softly. We don't think about that. We're here now. The forest was alive with distant sounds. Owls calling, water whispering downstream, the low hum of wind through pine. Emily watched the firelight dance across her children's faces. In that moment, she realized something. She hadn't just saved them. She had found herself again. Before we continue, if you're still here, that means you're really into this story. So don't forget to hit that like button and share it with someone who loves real, emotional tales of bravery. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because we have more heart-pounding stories just like this every week. At dawn, the Hartleys set out again. The forest was cold, wet with dew, but brighter. Emily led them along the river, her boots silent against the stones. Hours later, they stumbled out onto a gravel road. Civilization, safety. When they reached the cabin, Daniel called for help. Within an hour, a ranger arrived, stunned by their story. "You tracked through that forest at night?" he asked Emily. She nodded modestly. "Just followed the water." He shook his head. "You probably saved their lives." Daniel looked at her, pride flooding his eyes. "Why didn't you ever tell me you could do all this?" Emily smiled faintly. "I didn't think it mattered anymore." He wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "It does now." Little Ella hugged her tight. "Mommy, you're a superhero." Emily kissed her forehead. "No, sweetheart. I'm just your mom." News spread quickly. Stay-at-home mom saves family from bear attack. It was everywhere. People were amazed. But Emily didn't feel like a hero. She felt human, rediscovered, reawakened. A few weeks later, she started offering free wilderness classes in their town, teaching others how to respect nature and survive within it. Kids, parents, couples, they all came to learn from her. One night, a young woman asked, "What's the most important thing you learned that day?" Emily smiled softly. "That courage isn't the absence of fear," she said. "It's doing what you must, even when you're terrified." Months later, they returned to the same cabin. The air was clear, the river glimmering under sunlight. The forest no longer felt dangerous, felt sacred. Daniel lit a small fire. Luke and Ella laughed by the water. Emily watched them, her heart full. She took a deep breath of pine and smoke and whispered to herself, "I'm home." No one had known she was a wilderness expert, and no one had expected her to be a hero. But when the moment came, she didn't need anyone to know. She just needed to be one. And as the flames flickered and night settled over the mountains, Emily Hartley smiled. Not as the woman she once was, but as the woman she'd become. Before you go, if this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who'd love a story of courage and family, and subscribe to the Nest of Stories for more true-to-life, cinematic tales. Your support keeps these stories alive, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.